Welcome. Welcome back to Survey of Mathematics, Chapter 3, Logic, and this is Part 2. So just a reminder that if you need this file for your study, feel free to get it from my description box. Just click on the link and you can download it for free. Okay, and now let's continue with this. Now, today we'll be continue learning about compound statement. So compound statement is somehow like similar to compound sentence, which we learn in our English. So basically, it just means that if you combine two statements together, okay, statement 1 and statement 2, if you're able to combine it together, then this will become a compound statement. The whole thing here will become a compound statement. And how we connect it, we are using something called connectives. Okay, so what is connectives? Connectives are something like and or maybe or maybe sometimes it will have something in front, it become if then, or sometimes it become if and only if and only if. Okay, so which is what we be doing right now. Okay, so again, how we connect, we're using and, or, if then, and if and only if as our connectives to make connect the statements to become a compound statement. Okay, so just for an example, I would say P and Q. So for example, P, I say she is from China. Okay, and then we say she is studying in Thailand. So if I want to combine it, say P and Q, I want to combine it using the word and. Okay, so I will use the symbol, this one. Okay, like a mountain. Okay, P and Q, I will say she is from China and she is studying in Thailand. Okay, however, the sign this one actually also represent the word and. Okay, and also but. Okay, so I can here also change it to become she's from China but she's studying in Thailand. Okay, and but with this sign we call it as conjunction. Okay, or another one, I can use the word or. So PQ, but I use the word or. So if you use the word or, you are using a we sign. A we sign. So you can say she is from China or she is studying in Thailand. Okay? So I hope this makes sense for you. Okay? And this is what we call it as disjunction. Okay, and but we call it as conjunction, and this all we call it as disjunction. And of course also we have something called if then. Okay, and it represents using an arrow sign. So I will say here P and an arrow Q. So the compound statement will be if she is from China, then she is studying in Thailand. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Okay, and this is what we call it as conditional. Conditional. And the last one, we use the word if and only if. Okay, if and only if, use the sign of a double way arrow. Okay, just one arrow but with a double way sign. Yeah, okay, so P and a double way Q. Or you also can use PIFF. IFF means if and only if. Okay, which means in this situation the compound statement will be she is from China if and only if she is studying in Thailand. Okay, so and this is what we record as biconditional, because by means two, means that it has two ways. One arrow has two way. Okay, we should sign off two-way arrow, and or you can use IFF. Okay, and remember those are the connectives. Okay, connectives. However, the first one is negation. This negation is not a connectives. It cannot make it a compound statement, but I just leave it here for your reference that this is a one of the symbol, okay, or the sign that you can use also in your in your in the questions or in the answer. Okay, okay, so let's look at this one. Exercise: is the statement below true or false? True or false? And now the first question: P and Q has the same meaning as Q and P. So basically, if you look at this question, it means that she is from China and she is studying in Thailand. Is it the same meaning as she is studying in Thailand and she is from China? So is it the same? Can we change the position of the sign? Is it still the same meaning? The answer is true. Yes, it is still the same meaning. Okay, how about the next one? It says that P or Q has the same meaning as Q or P. So in this question, I will say it will be she is from China or she is studying in Thailand. And another way one is she is studying in Thailand or she is from China. So is it the same meaning? The answer is yes, it is still the same meaning. How about the next one? P if P then Q has the same meaning as if Q then P. So if comes to these questions, it will be if she is from China, then she is studying in Thailand. Is it the same thing as if she is studying in Thailand, then she is from China? The answer is no. Why? So if you look at this one, P and arrow Q, if P then Q, here says that if she is from China, then she is studying in Thailand, which makes it that if you want that person, if you sure that person is studying in Thailand, she must from China, because if she is studying from China, then she is studying in Thailand. It's an opposite round if it is opposite. Okay, so just in simple words, this is condition, means that you must have the first, then you have the next one. Okay, so if you make it another way around, it will be the another way around. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So here, P if and only if Q has the same meaning as Q if and only if P. So since this has both arrow going to both side, and even though it changed the position, it is actually still the same. The answer is true, which means that she is from China if and only if she is from if and only if she is studying in Thailand is the same as she is studying in Thailand if and only if she is from China. Okay, for the case of if only if it is true. Okay, so let's try to look at the questions here. Continue. Question 2. P, it is after 8 p.m. and Q, law is teaching. So now the question asks us to write a statement in an English statement or symbolic statement or symbolic form, depending on the question. Okay, so here says that P and Q means that I need to write in a English sentence. So it will be It is after 8 p.m. and the symbolic sign is N. So N low is teaching. That's all. It's kind of easy, right? Okay. And the next one. It is after 8 p.m. Okay. So look at here. It is after 8 p.m. and using the symbolic sign of N. Low is, there's something extra here, not teaching. So if you want to write the symbolic in the symbolic form, we know that this is P, we know that this is N, we know that low is teaching is under Q. However, here added a word say not, which means that they use something, they use the negation here. You see, negation, not P, means a wave sign P. Okay, so here we will be using as P and a not Q. Okay, so we can write it closer to become P and not Q. Okay, this is our answer. Okay, it's kind of easy. Let's look at the next one here. You graduate P and Q. You satisfy the maths requirement. So here says that write the statement in English statement or symbolic form. So it is given our symbolic form, then we need to write in English statement. So just continue. You graduate. Okay, and now it's using the word or. So we write here or, and there's a not here. You didn't satisfy the maths requirement. Okay, so P is you graduate and the O sign is or, and it is using not. So we'll add something not here. And just to make it nice, we'll add you didn't satisfy the maths requirement. Okay, and the last one. You satisfy the math requirement or you don't graduate. Okay, okay, this one you can also can change it don't. Okay, depending on the grammar. Okay, you satisfy the math requirement, it will be Q. Or means or. You graduate here means P, but here added the don't, which means that it will have a negation. So it means that the answer here will be Q or negation P. Okay, Q or negation P. I believe that you can somehow get it. And let's look at the next question here. A person is a father. A person is father. A person is a male. So if you need to write it in the English form, it will be if a person is father, then a person is a male. Okay, so if P then Q. Okay, now the next one, negation Q then negation P. Now it's kind of complicated, but don't worry, we'll try to figure it out. So now it starts with Q. So a person is a male and it has a negation. So a person is not a male. And now since it has an arrow, so it will start with if. So if a person is not a male. Okay. So then we will for sure we write then negation P. So P is a person is father. So negation P means then a person is not a father. And of course, since we are combining, so we're not using a person here again, we're using means that person is not a father. Okay, the person. Okay, if a person is not a male, then the person is not a father. Okay, and now you are given C and you need to figure out whether what is the symbolic form. So here says that a person is a male, so for sure this is what a person is a male. This is under P, or this is under Q. And here says that person is a father, so the person is a father, so this is a P. And here's a if then without any or, so this is P to Q, I mean Q to P. The answer here is Q to P. That's all for this question. Okay, so let's look at the next question. The fifth one. The word is set. The word has 464 meanings. So if I want to write it in the symbolic form here, remember this is if and only if. So I will write it as the word is set if and only if the word has 464 meanings. Okay, easy, right? So let's try. How about this one? The word does not have 464 meanings if and only if the word is not set. Okay, so let's look at it. The word does not have 464 meanings, which means that it is a negation Q. And if and only if, so we know that it uses the double sign arrow. And here say that the word is not set, so it means that this is negation P. Because not does mean have negation, the word is set is P. So the answer here will be negation Q, negation P. That's it. Okay, so I believe that you got these questions and it's somehow easy for you. Okay, and now before I go to the next item, let me just ask you, you know about algebra, right? So example, if I give you a question here like this, negative times x plus y, so how can I simplify it? I believe if you know it, how to simplify, you know that you need to times in here and times in here. So it will be negative x, negative y, because negative times positive here becomes negative, and negative times positive here becomes negative. Okay, so once you get this idea, we can go to the next item, which is symbolic statement with parentheses. Okay, it just simple means that just now what we learned is inside here P and Q or P or Q. However, now it added a parenthesis with a negation. Okay, so let's just look at the questions here first. Let P and Q represent the following statement. Okay, so now it tells you that P, it means that she is wealthy, and Q means she is happy. So if I say here that P and Q, okay, P and Q, so for sure you know that P and Q, it will be she is wealthy and she is and happy. She is wealthy and happy. So here she is wealthy and happy. However, if it has a negation with a parenthesis, it means that it is not true that she is wealthy and happy. Okay, and the next one, P and Q. However, if you look properly, it doesn't have a parenthesis, so which means that it is separated by negation P and Q. So it means that she is not wealthy, and here say and Q, and she is happy. Okay, you can see the differences between these two. Okay, and the next one, P or Q. Can you see P or Q? So here says that P or Q means she is wealthy or happy. She is wealthy or happy. And you see, if there's a parenthesis here, I mean the negation with the parenthesis, and here says it is not true that. Okay, so there's a keyword here, key things that you need to know. Okay, if there's a word it is not true that, it means that we have the whole thing negation. Okay, when there's the negation with the parenthesis, it always use it is not true that. Okay, so let's give an example here too. Example here, I say again, she is from China, and Q, I will say she is studying in Thailand. So if I want to put negation P and Q, I would say, look at here, always when we have a negation with the parenthesis, we will always say it is not true that, then P and Q. What is P and Q? Which is she is from China and she is studying in Thailand. Okay, remember this negation with the parenthesis is the meaning of it is not true that. Okay, however, if it is in the case of negation P and Q, remember this negation is just like what we talked about just now, like the negative that we times in just now. That's why it is applied for the both of the thing. It is not true that everything is not true. However, if it is negative P, means that this negation is only for P. So when you write it, it will be she is not from China and she is studying in Thailand. Okay, and this not is only for the China here. It's not for the next one here. She is studying from Thailand, in Thailand. Okay, and of course the next one, negation P or Q with the parenthesis here, it will be it is not true that she is from China or she is studying in Thailand. Okay, again, when it is using a parent negation and a parenthesis, it means that it is not true that. And what we are using here is and 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 here or, and here be or. Okay, however, especially for the last one or, there is also another way of writing it. That's when if you don't want to use it is not true that, you also can use the word here, neither nor. Okay, this is a combination of negation and or, the or sign. Okay, she's neither wealthy nor happy. So in this case, I also can write it as she is neither from China nor studying in Thailand. Means that she's not from China and she's not studying in Thailand. That is what it means. So it is exactly the same meaning as it is not true that she is from China and she is studying in Thailand. Okay, neither no. Okay, so just keep this idea in your mind. So and don't confuse when you writing your question or answering the question. Okay, so let's look at the questions here. Let P and Q represent the following English simple sentence statements or symbolic form. So now it is given that P, it means that he earns 105,000 yearly, and Q here says that he is often happy. So negation P and Q. So how should I write? Since it has a negation and the parenthesis, we always will add it is not true that, then P and Q. He earns 105,000 yearly and often happy. Okay, whether you want to add he is also okay, also okay. Okay, so the next one, he is not often happy and he earns 105,000 yearly. So remember, he is often happy is Q, but since we have a not, so we have a negation Q, and here use and, so we have an and sign here, and he say he earns $105,000 yearly, so we have a Q here, and here will be negation Q and P. And the next one, it is somehow a little bit complicated. Here says that negation Q to P. So we know that we must add it is not true that because of the negation. So we can say that it is not true that, and now Q to P means that if Q then P. So we can say it's not true that if he is often if he is often happy, then he earns 105,000 yearly. Okay, I hope you get the concept. Okay, when there's a negation and a parenthesis, we must use the it is not true that. Okay, let's move forward to the next part. Now the first part just now is only involving two statements, which is P and Q, or P and Q. However, when you go to the next part, it involves in three statements. Okay, you can look at here, it says that P, Q, and R. Okay, so it's kind of complicated now. So now the question is, how can we write this form properly? So you can look at here. When there's a parenthesis in between, I mean, because when this has a parenthesis, this is a one part, and this is one part. And now when this is parenthesis, this is one part, and this is one part. You can see that the middle sign here is different. So we will now see when the middle sign is this, if then how should we write it? And if the middle is and, how should we write it? Okay, let's look at the first one. Q and negation P, the whole thing to negation R. So remember, Q is the student studies. So here, once, because we have an arrow here, so we need to remember that it is always start with if a student studies and a student misses lecture, and since we have a negation here, here say a student does not miss lecture. Look at here, there's a comma here, comma, then a student does not fail. Let me just make it clear. This represent if until a comma. Okay, the comma here. You can see when we have this arrow here, then it involves then. Okay, then and here means and here, and I believe that the negation is here. Okay, it's quite easy. Okay, negation, then not. Okay, so you can see a yellow color like packing everything together from if until the comma. Okay, just like here. Okay, I come to get a concept here. However, if it is in this way, you see, this is the thing. So you can see Q means a student studies, then N, so you can see the N here. Negation P, then if, then here. And since it's this to this, then it's if, then to that. Okay, so basically the most easiest thing is that you need to know that when a parenthesis is packing out something, then that thing is as one. Okay, let me just show you. Okay, let me erase this one too. The key thing here is the comma. Okay, when it packs it together, you see the parenthesis here, means that this is one thing and this is one thing. And when this is one thing, the left over here is one thing. Then you can see the things that decide on the middle here is the arrow here. I mean here. And for this one, it will be and. So you can see that the comma actually is the middle part that separate both of them. See, the comma is here, so and here. So you get it? So basically the comma is the things that separate both of them. So when you write this statement, you need to be careful and where to put the comma. So let's try an example here. Yeah, I say P is, she is from China. Again, the same thing. So Q, I would say she is studying in Thailand. And R, I would say she is 21 years old. Okay, now we need to think about it now. How can we write? If you want to write in the form of Q and negation P to negation R, so how are we gonna write it? Remember again, this is one thing and two this thing. So we need to always start with if. If Q, if she is studying in Thailand. Okay, we're done with Q. And here say and. Then I put here and negation P, which means that negation means that she is not from China. And not from China. Okay? And this is the whole thing, right? And I've done with it. So I put a comma. Then of course with this one, if, then here will be then negation R. Then she is not 21 years old. Okay, it's kind of easy, right? When you want to write it, you just need to follow the idea. Okay, let's look at the next symbolic form. It is given a Q and negation P to negation R. And remember, the parenthesis is covering the whole thing here. So this is one thing and this is another thing. So we want to write it, we write Q. She is studying in Thailand. Look at here. It is separated with a comma, right? Always. So we put a comma. And here say and. And we say and. And you see, this is the whole thing. And now we have this thing to this thing. So we must put if. The negation of P is if she is not from China. And look at here. To negation R. So is then she is not 21 years old. And we will put here then she is not 21 years old. And we are done. She is studying in Thailand. It's Q. N means N, but we separate with a comma because we are separating both of these. And if she is not from China, then she is not 21 years old. The negation of P and negation of R. And we have this one, that's why we have if and then. So it's kind of easy, right? Okay. So let's tackle the questions here. If P and Q represent, actually P, Q, and R represent the following English statement or symbolic form. So P is the plant is fertilized. Q is the plant is water. R is the plant is walls. Okay. So P and negation Q, the whole thing to negation R. So don't worry, remember that this is a whole thing because there's a parenthesis and this is the next thing. Since this is a whole thing to this one, so we always start with if. So if P is what? If the plant is fertilized and negation Q means that not water and not water. Of course, this is done, so we put a comma and put the word then negation R and then the plant is not was. Okay, it's kind of easy, right? So just follow the step and the steps. And let's look at the next one. The plant is fertilized, okay? And we have a comma. Means that there's something that separates both of them. And if it is water, then it is not well. Okay? So look at here. The plant is fertilized, which means that this is P. And there's a comma here. N means N. If we will put the parenthesis here because we know that it has comma, so it separates both of them. If it is water, Q, then it will not well. Negation R. So the answer basically is P and parenthesis Q to negation R. And we are done. Okay, for this part. So it's easy, right? Just need to be aware of what we are writing here. Okay, so just let's go to the last part and we will stop this video. 3.2.3 Dominance of connectives nodes. And of course, in set theory, we also talk about that there are a sequence of operations. And of course, in this one, we also have. And remember, just now we said about separating it, right? Because of the parenthesis. And here also telling us that when there's no parenthesis, it also have something that makes it separate them. And look at here, dominance of connective nodes. So means that level 4, this is the most, and level 1, this is the least. So basically just remember that biconditional is a thing that like to separate things. Okay, biconditional, conditional, then conjunction and disjunction. Okay, so just look at this one. Let me just explain it. Okay, usually when we look at this one, it's P, Q, and we know that when it is O, which means that O is separating P and Q. Okay, and we know when we look at P and Q, we know that P and Q is separated by the N. However, sometimes when we look at this one, P and Q and R, and we are thinking, so which one is separated? Because by looking at this, you think that it is this one, and this one. However, according to the dominance here, actually, we know that this is the most dominant, right? So we need to understand it as P is P and Q and R is separated by the line, the arrow here, the conditional here. Okay, so which means that P and Q and R is the same meaning as this one. Okay, they both have the same meaning. Okay, because you look at here, conditional is more dominant than the conjunction, the and here. So which means that we need to put the parenthesis here as a group, because this is the one that's separating them. Okay, if you are kind of confusing, don't worry. Let's go for next example. So P or Q conditional R. So look at this question, P or Q condition to R. Again, so you need to decide which one is more dominant. So by looking at this table, we know that conditional is a more dominant than the disjunction here, which is all here. So basically we just highlight here. We know that this is and these are separated by the arrow, and we need to put an parenthesis here just to let you know that this is the whole thing. So even though we don't put the parenthesis, it has the same meaning as what when we put parenthesis. But when we put parenthesis, then we know how to write the statement. So in this case, it will be if P or Q, comma, then R. I believe that what we learned just now, right? However, if we without the parenthesis, yes, it is the same meaning. However, you kind of confused at how we should write this one. Okay, we might write that P or if Q then R. You see, when we without the parenthesis, although it has the same meaning, but it confuses us that how we need to write this one. Okay, so that's why now we are learning that how we put parentheses to make it more clear. Okay, so now let's look at these questions here. Here says that highlight the most dominant connectives, clarifying with grouping symbol, and write the connective. Okay, so let's look at this one. P, conditional, Q, and negation R. So we have 1 here, 2 here, 3 here. So which one is the most dominant? We know that it's the conditional here. So once we know it's here, we group here, but we know that P is just alone, so we need to put parentheses, and we put on another side too. So Q and negation R. And since the conditional is the most dominant, the type of statement here is conditional. And the next one, P and Q and negation R. We know that this conditional is the most dominant one, so we need to highlight the conditional, and we need to group those other. Okay, so since this is being highlighted, we know that this is a conditional. Okay, I think this is not supposed to be here. Okay, and the next one, P biconditional, Q conditional R. So which one is the most dominant? More dominant. We know that it is the pi conditional. So we can group it as P and Q to R. So this statement is a biconditional. And the next one, P conditional, Q biconditional, R. And we know that biconditional is the most dominant. So we know that P to Q is grouped together. And this is a biconditional statement. And the next one, P and negation Q conditional ROS. It looks complicated, however, just think which one is most dominant, which is the conditional here. And for the other both sides, we just group with a parenthesis. And we know this is a conditional. Let's look at the next one. P and Q or R. P and Q or R. We know that this conjunction and this disjunction, they are in what? Both of them are in level 2, which means that they have the same level. So they are not dominant than each other. That means one is not dominant than the others. So we know that this is separated as 3 parts. So there's no type of statement here because they are equal in the same level. Okay? So just let's try some questions to make it more easier for us to write. Okay? Okay, so now here say that I do not fail the course if and only if I study hard and I pass the final. So just one thing. Now we are not given that what P represent, what Q represent, what R represent, and we need to write it by ourselves. So now we need to write first. P. I do not fail the course. So you can see that there's one simple statement here. I study hard. There's one simple statement here. I pass the final. There's one simple statement here. So this is a compound statement, and we need to first write down what is the simple statement. So P is I fail the course. Remember, do not, the word do not here, we are not including in the simple statement because we know that it is a negation. I fail the course, and Q is I study hard, and the next one R is I pass the final. Okay, and now once we know PQR, the simple statement, and now we can write the symbolic form. I do not fail the course. That's when negation P. If and only if. So if and only if is the double side arrow. If and only if I study hard and I pass the final. I pass the final. Okay? That's all. And of course, from this statement, you know that this is an biconditional because this is the more dominant connectives. Okay? So with this, let's try to do the next one. I do not fail the course if and only if I study hard and I pass the final. Okay. Just come back for this for a while. Negation P, biconditional Q and R. So if we know this is the most dominant, so we also can write it as P biconditional Q and R. The same thing, right? Okay, because this is the most dominant. That's why we put a parenthesis here. However, for this one, I do not feel the cause, which means that negation P. If and only if and only if I study hard means Q. See, there's an extra thing here. There's a comma here, which means that we need to put a parenthesis here because this is as a group. And I passed the final. I passed the final. Now you can see that this is totally different from this one. Because this one we have this as the most dominant, that's why we separate this as the one thing and this as one thing. But for this one, since we put the parenthesis here, now this is one group and this is one group. And this and this conjunction is our main dominance here. Okay? And that's all. See, the power of a comma. So when you do in your exam, you need to realize that there's a comma, it is a grouping here. I mean that this part will be separated. Okay? And the next one here. Next question. If there is too much homework, so let's put here P. There is too much homework. And R. I mean Q first. There's too much homework. Teacher is boring. So teacher is boring. I do not take that class. Remember, do not is a negation. So I will put I take that class only. Okay. So look at here. If there is too much homework, if there's too much homework, so if there's too much homework, or or is using this junction. Okay. So or the teacher is boring, then okay, so means that we know that then I do not take that class. Negation R. You might be confused why I put the parenthesis here because there's no comma here, right? You see, if I don't put this parenthesis, okay, just remove it for a while, you can see that this is the most dominant connectives. So for sure that, because since there's no comma here, so automatically we'll be grouping this as one and this as one. And since this is only the one statement here, so we're not grouping it. That's why I will automatically to put the parenthesis here. And we are done for this one. And the next question, the last question for this video. Look at here. There's too much homework. So there's P here. And see, right? There's a comma here. Means that we'll be grouping this as one and the next thing as one. Okay? So we'll be grouping the next thing as one. And here says or. Means that or. If a teacher is boring, so we know that there's a something here. If a teacher is boring, which is Q, then I do not take that class. I think the class is R. I do not take the classes negation R. So P or parenthesis Q to negation R. Okay, so that's all for our class today. And so remember, just to remember that what we learned in this video is very, very important. Because if you cannot differentiate what is the most dominant connective, when to put a parenthesis, then it might be a challenge for you to understand this chapter. Okay, so if you forget or if you forget how to do it, or perhaps you're confused again, feel free to comment below, or you can re-watch this video to get the basic idea. Okay, so just for your information, today we learned about 3.2 compound statement and connectives, and we learned a lot from 3.2.1 until 3.2.3. So thank you so much for watching this video, and take a rest and enjoy. Okay, goodbye.